Money and happiness, what rich people will not tell you. You think more money will make you happier. Everyone does. You work longer hours, chase promotions, sacrifice weekends, all because you believe the next raise will finally give you that feeling of arrival. But here's what nobody tells you. The people who made it, the ones earning 6 figures or more, they're not much happier than you are right now. And the truly wealthy? Many of them are trapped in a cycle you're sprinting toward without realizing it's a trap. This audiobook is for people who are tired of vague advice about money and happiness. You want the truth backed by research, not platitudes. You're willing to question your assumptions and make changes based on evidence. If you're just here to confirm that chasing money is the right path, this probably isn't for you. Here's what you'll get. Frameworks for understanding how money actually affects happiness. Tools you can use immediately to spend money in ways that increase joy instead of just burning through it. And later, I'll give you the 2-minute version you can try today. One more thing. No need to pause or take notes. There's a toolkit in the description with all the tools and a 7-day checklist. You can use it later. Right now, just listen. Let's start with the truth rich people won't admit. Tool 1. The income threshold nobody talks about. Money absolutely buys happiness. If you can't afford rent, if you're skipping meals to pay bills, if medical debt is crushing you, more money will make you significantly happier. This isn't controversial. When you lack basic necessities, every dollar reduces suffering. Think about someone living paycheck to paycheck. Every unexpected expense creates a crisis. The car breaks down and suddenly they are choosing between fixing it or paying rent. A medical bill arrives and they are deciding which prescription they can skip. That constant stress and worry affects everything. Sleep quality drops. Relationships strain. Focus at work suffers. For someone in that situation, an extra $1,000 per month is life-changing. It creates a buffer. It removes the constant fear of financial disaster. That reduction in stress translates directly to increased happiness. The same applies to debt. Being thousands of dollars in the red, watching interest pile up, not knowing how you'll ever get out, this has been linked to depression, anxiety, hopelessness, and lower life satisfaction. Money that eliminates this debt removes a massive psychological burden. The relief is real and measurable. So yes, money buys happiness when you're below a certain threshold. No question. But there's a number most people don't know about. Research from 2010 by Daniel Kahneman found that in North America, making more than $75,000 per year didn't improve day-to-day happiness. Your average Tuesday doesn't get better whether you make $80,000 or $200,000. Read that again. Someone earning $80,000 per year reports the same daily happiness levels as someone earning $300,000. The mood during breakfast, the stress during the workday, the satisfaction while watching TV at night, roughly the same. This shocks people. Everyone assumes the person making $300,000 must be happier. They can afford nicer things, better vacations, fewer worries. But on a day-to-day emotional level, once basic needs are covered and you have some financial cushion, more money doesn't move the needle. Now before you fixate on that exact number, understand this. It varies by location and changes with inflation. In San Francisco or New York, you'd need significantly more than $75,000 to hit that threshold. The cost of housing alone eats up most of your income. In London, you'd need the equivalent in pounds. In Toronto, in Canadian dollars. In Sydney, in Australian dollars. Each country and city has its own version of this number. Your local currency and cost of living determine what that threshold looks like for you. In 2010 dollars, $75,000 equals about $90,000 today. By the time you're listening to this, it might be even higher. The specific number doesn't matter. What matters is the concept. Once you're comfortably covering needs and living a reasonable lifestyle, additional income stops improving how you feel on a daily basis. You wake up, go through your day, come home, and the emotional experience is the same whether you're making the equivalent of $100,000 or $400,000 in your local currency. But here's where it gets interesting. That same study found something else. While extra money past the threshold doesn't increase day-to-day happiness, it does increase life evaluation. When people sit down and reflect on their lives, ask themselves how satisfied they are with how things turned out, those earning more tend to score higher. This matters. There's a difference between how you feel during your average day and how you feel about your life when you step back and evaluate it. Someone making $200,000 might not feel happier on a random Wednesday than someone making $90,000. But when they reflect on their career success, their ability to provide for family, their financial security, they feel more satisfied with their life overall. Why the split? Part of it is social comparison. Part of it is achievement. Part of it is security. We'll break all of this down. But first, let's talk about the comparison trap. Tool 2, the salary comparison trap. Imagine you get 3 job offers. Job A pays $40,000 per year. Your colleagues make $20,000. Job B pays $50,000. Everyone around you also makes $50,000. Job C pays $60,000. But everyone else in that department makes $120,000. Which job would make you happiest? Most people pick C because it's the most money. Wrong choice. You'd be least happy in job C. Despite earning the most, you'd feel like you're losing compared to everyone around you. Every day you'd see people with bigger offices, nicer cars, better vacation stories. The comparison would eat at you. Every meeting would remind you that you're at the bottom of the pay scale. Someone mentions their new car and you realize it costs more than your annual salary. Someone talks about their vacation home and you're still renting a 1-bedroom apartment. The gap becomes impossible to ignore. And here's the worst part. You'd start to feel like a failure even though you're making $60,000. You'd internalize the comparison. You'd think there's something wrong with you because you're not earning what they earn. Imposter syndrome would kick in. You'd wonder if you deserve to be there. Job A would make you happiest. Relative to your peers, you're winning. You're the top earner. That feeling matters more than the absolute number. When colleagues talk about money stress, you don't relate. When someone complains about not affording something, you can afford it easily. You feel successful in context. Every comparison reinforces that you're doing well. And that feeling, that sense of relative success, drives a significant portion of your happiness with your income. This isn't just theory. When students get a B on a test, their satisfaction depends entirely on context. If everyone else got a C or worse, they feel great. That B represents success. They're above average. They did better than their peers. That creates genuine satisfaction. But if everyone else got an A, that same B feels like failure. The grade didn't change. The student's knowledge didn't change. But the comparison changed everything. Suddenly that B means they're at the bottom. They're the worst performer in the class. That creates genuine disappointment. The grade is the same in both scenarios. But the emotional response is completely different because of the social context. Your happiness with your salary works the same way. How much you earn matters less than how much you earn compared to the people around you. Your reference group determines your satisfaction more than the absolute number. And here's the dangerous part. Someone making $1 million per year could be miserable if all their friends make $5 million. They feel like losers even though they're in the top 1% of earners globally. Think about that. $1 million a year. That puts you in an extremely rare category. But if you're comparing yourself to people making $5 million, you feel poor. You feel like you're failing. You might even feel embarrassed about your income. This actually happens. There are people in high-income brackets who feel financial anxiety not because they can't afford things, but because they can't afford what their peer group can afford. They see friends buying second homes and they can't. They see colleagues taking private jets and they are flying commercial. The comparison creates real unhappiness. In their mind, they are losers. They are falling behind. Even though objectively, they are doing extraordinarily well. Social media makes this worse. You're not just comparing yourself to your immediate circle anymore. You're comparing yourself to everyone. Every scroll shows you someone with more. A better house. A nicer car. A more impressive vacation. Someone younger who's achieved more. Someone with a lifestyle you can't afford. And your brain treats these comparisons as relevant even though they're completely random. You don't know these people. You don't know their full situation. They might be in debt. They might be miserable. They might be renting things just for photos. But your brain sees the image and files it under evidence that you're not doing well enough. The comparison happens automatically. You can't turn it off. And if those comparisons consistently make you feel inferior instead of inspired, you need to take a break from social media. This type of comparison is a major source of unhappiness for high earners especially. They've hit the income threshold where more money doesn't improve daily happiness. But they are surrounded by people earning even more. So instead of feeling successful, they feel inadequate. If that's you, you have two options. Change your reference group or change your relationship with comparison. Changing your reference group means spending less time around people who make significantly more than you. This isn't about avoiding successful people. It's about protecting your mental health from constant unfavorable comparisons. Changing your relationship with comparison means recognizing that it's happening and choosing not to let it determine your self-worth. When you notice yourself comparing, acknowledge it, then deliberately shift focus to your own goals and progress. Both approaches work. Most people need some combination of both. If this is useful, subscribe, like, and turn on the notification bell. It helps more people find these audiobooks. Now let's talk about why you'll never feel like you have enough. The adaptation problem. Here's a question. What's your ideal salary? Whatever you answered, research shows something predictable. People who make $30,000 say they'd be happy with $50,000. People who make $100,000 say they need $250,000 to be satisfied. Everyone wants about double what they currently make. This isn't random. It's not about greed. It's how our brains are wired. The pattern holds across income levels. Ask someone making $20,000 what they need and they'll say $40,000. Ask someone making $500,000 and they'll say $1 million. The multiplier stays roughly the same. And if you actually got that raise? Within months, you'd want more again. This is called hedonic adaptation. It's one of the most important concepts for understanding money and happiness. Let's say you're making $30,000 and you get a new job paying $50,000. How do you feel? Amazing. Incredible. Like you've finally made it. You can breathe. You can afford things you couldn't before. The stress lifts. For a few weeks, maybe a couple months, you feel genuinely happier. Every time you check your bank account, you smile. Every time you buy something without worrying, it feels great. Then the novelty fades. $50,000 becomes your new normal. It's just what you make. It's not special anymore. The initial excitement is gone. You've adapted. Your brain has recalibrated. And now you need another raise to feel that spike of happiness again. This happens to everyone. It's not a character flaw. It's not about being ungrateful. It's a fundamental feature of how humans experience the world. Most people don't realize this adaptation will happen. They think the happiness from more money will last. They think once they hit their target income, they'll finally feel satisfied. They won't. The target will move. You experience the same adaptation with temperature. Walk into an air-conditioned house on a hot summer day and the cold air feels incredible. The relief is immediate and intense. Your whole body relaxes. The contrast from the heat outside makes the cool air feel amazing. But after 20 minutes, you don't even notice it anymore. The air conditioning is still running. The temperature is still cool. But it no longer feels special. Your body adapted. What was refreshing before is now just normal temperature. If you paid attention, you could probably remember the moment you walked in and how good it felt. But right now, sitting in that same cool air, you don't feel anything special. That's adaptation. Money works the same way. Buy a new car and you'll love it for the first few drives. You'll notice everything about it. The smell. The smooth ride. The way it handles. Every time you get in, you'll feel a little thrill of ownership. This is mine. I earned this. Then after a few weeks, it becomes just your car. The excitement fades. You stop noticing the details. It's transportation. The same way your old car was transportation. You adapted. Eventually you start thinking about an even nicer car. You notice what yours doesn't have. Maybe the seats aren't as comfortable as they could be. Maybe the sound system isn't quite as good as you'd like. Maybe it's not as fast or as stylish as newer models. The comparison starts and suddenly you want an upgrade. Buy a bigger house and you'll feel great about it for the first few months. Walking through the extra space will feel luxurious. Having a bigger kitchen, more bedrooms, a nicer yard, all of it will bring genuine joy. You'll think about how far you've come. You'll feel proud when people visit. Then it becomes your normal house. The size stops feeling special. You adapt to the space. And you start noticing what it doesn't have. Maybe you want a better view. Maybe the neighborhood isn't quite right. Maybe you wish it was even bigger. The wanting starts again. Make no mistake, your life objectively improves. A nicer car is better than a broken one. A bigger house gives you more space and more options. These are real improvements. The quality of your daily life goes up. But you won't feel better about your life long term. You won't wake up every day grateful for the car or the house the way you did at first. You'll adapt. They'll become background. And you'll start wanting more. Every single time, you will adapt and feel like you could use a slightly better car, a bigger house, and a little more money. This is the treadmill. You run faster, you earn more, you buy better things, and you end up in the same place emotionally. Not worse, but not better either. Just adapted to a new baseline. The treadmill has no end. There's always something nicer. Always someone with more. Always an upgrade available. And your brain will always adjust to whatever you have and start looking for the next level. Understanding this changes how you think about chasing more. If you know adaptation is coming, you can plan for it. You can make different choices. You can protect yourself from the cycle. Contrary to popular belief, money and material possessions don't bring us lots of happiness for a long time. They bring us a little happiness until we adapt and feel like we deserve better. However, this sort of adaptation isn't all negative. If you're not as fortunate in your life, adaptation is actually great. Let me show you what I mean. The lottery winner effect. A classic study compared lottery winners to people who became paraplegic after accidents. 1 year after their life-changing events, their happiness levels were not that far apart. The lottery winners were still happier, but not by much. Both groups adapted to their new circumstances. The winners got used to having money. The accident victims got used to their limitations. Happiness returned to roughly where it was before. Let that sink in. Someone wins millions of dollars. Someone else loses the use of their legs. A year later, their happiness levels are relatively close. Not identical, but much closer than you'd expect. This demonstrates the incredible power of adaptation. Humans can adjust to almost anything, good or bad. It's what allows us to survive difficult circumstances. But it's also what prevents windfalls from creating lasting happiness. The lottery winners initially felt euphoric. Obviously. They went from financial stress to financial freedom overnight. In those first weeks and months, they were riding high. Every day felt like a dream. Every purchase felt amazing. But over time, the novelty wore off. Having money became normal. The things they bought became normal. The lifestyle upgrades became normal. They adapted. And their happiness levels drifted back toward their baseline. The accident victims went through the opposite process. Initially, they were devastated. Their entire life changed in an instant. They had to relearn basic tasks. They faced physical limitations and social challenges. In those first weeks and months, their happiness crashed. But over time, they adapted. They learned new ways to do things. They found meaning and purpose despite their limitations. They built new routines. And their happiness levels gradually returned toward their baseline. Neither group stayed at the emotional extreme. Both adapted and returned to roughly where they started, just under different circumstances. But lottery winners face another problem that makes their situation unique. Many of them lose the ability to enjoy small pleasures. A good cup of coffee. A nice sunset. A meal with friends. These things stop feeling special. Why? Because they rush to spend their money on the best of everything. They raise their standards so high that anything less than the best feels disappointing. Think about it this way. If the first car you buy after winning the lottery is a $500,000 Ferrari, how would you feel about driving a $50,000 car? Terrible. It would feel like a massive downgrade even though a $50,000 car is objectively excellent. Your expectations lock you into only accepting the best. And once the best becomes your baseline, nothing below it brings joy. The same thing happens with restaurants. If you start eating at expensive fine dining establishments every week, regular restaurants stop satisfying you. The food might be good, but it's not as good as what you've gotten used to. So you don't enjoy it as much. Vacations work the same way. If you've been staying at luxury resorts and flying first class, economy travel feels uncomfortable and budget hotels feel disappointing. You've raised your standards to a level where only the top tier feels acceptable. Lottery winners often report feeling less happy about everyday experiences because they've calibrated their expectations too high. What used to bring joy, like a home-cooked meal or a walk in the park, now feels ordinary or even inadequate compared to the luxury they've experienced. They traded away their ability to appreciate simple pleasures in exchange for access to expensive ones. And because expensive pleasures are rare and require money, they end up with fewer moments of genuine enjoyment overall. This is a real trap. It seems like having money should expand your capacity for happiness. But if you use it wrong, it actually shrinks your capacity for happiness by making you unable to enjoy anything that isn't exceptional. So if you ever get a windfall, whether from a lottery, an inheritance, a business sale, or any other source, don't rush to spend it. If you care about your happiness, increase your lifestyle slowly. Give yourself time to appreciate each level before jumping to the next. Start with small upgrades. Enjoy them fully. Let them become your new normal. Then make the next upgrade. This approach protects your ability to feel joy from each improvement instead of blowing past them all at once and feeling nothing. If you're driving or working out, just listen. The toolkit has the full steps. Now let's talk about what actually works. Tool 3. Spend money on experiences, not just things. You want to get more happiness from your money? Buy experiences. A concert. A weekend trip. A cooking class with your partner. An afternoon at an amusement park. A day at a spa. A guided tour of somewhere new. Experiences don't trigger the same adaptation as material purchases because they're usually short and rare. You can't get used to a one-time concert. It's over before adaptation kicks in. The memory remains, but the event itself was finite. Research consistently shows that people report more happiness from spending money on experiences than on material goods. There are several reasons why. First, experiences create memories that actually improve over time. You remember the highlights and forget the annoying parts. That rainy day on your vacation becomes a funny story. The delayed flight becomes part of the adventure. Your brain edits the experience to emphasize the positive. Material purchases work the opposite way. The new car is most exciting when you first get it. Then it becomes normal. Then you notice the flaws. The memory of how good it felt to buy it fades. Second, experiences are harder to compare. You can't hold your vacation up next to someone else's and measure which was objectively better. But you can compare cars, houses, clothes. Material goods invite comparison. Experiences are unique to you. Third, experiences often involve other people. Shared experiences strengthen relationships. Going to a concert with friends creates a bond. Taking a trip with your partner creates memories you both reference for years. These social connections add to the happiness you get from the experience. Fourth, experiences become part of your identity in a way that possessions don't. You're someone who loves live music. Someone who's traveled to interesting places. Someone who tries new things. That identity feels more meaningful than being someone who owns nice stuff. But here's the critical part. The experience has to stay rare. If you start going to expensive restaurants every single night, it's not an experience anymore. It's a lifestyle change. And you will adapt to it. Within weeks, fancy dinners become normal dinners. They stop feeling special. The same applies to any experience. Weekend getaways. Concerts. Spa days. If you do them constantly, they lose their magic. They become routine. The novelty disappears and adaptation kicks in. To avoid this, keep your luxurious experiences rare. Space them out. Make them events. That way they continue to bring joy instead of becoming background noise. Think about holidays. Part of what makes them special is that they only happen once a year. If you celebrated your birthday every week, it wouldn't feel special anymore. It would just be another day with cake. The same principle applies to experiences you buy with money. Rarity preserves the joy. What's the point of a great meal if it doesn't make you feel good? If you've been eating great meals so often that they are boring, you've wasted your money and ruined the experience for yourself. Here's the 7-day experiment for this tool. Pick one experience you've been putting off. Something under $100 in your local currency. A nice dinner. A day trip. A show. A class. Something you'd enjoy but haven't made time for. Schedule it for this week. Actually put it on your calendar. Commit to it. Then notice how you feel before, during, and after. Pay attention to the anticipation leading up to it. Notice the experience itself. And track how you feel afterwards. Then wait at least 2 weeks before doing another luxury experience. Track whether spacing them out keeps them feeling special. Most people will find that the rarer experiences feel better than frequent ones, even if the frequent ones are objectively nicer. The common failure mode is turning experiences into habits. Going to expensive brunches every weekend. Taking luxury trips every month. Buying tickets to every concert that comes through town. When you do this, they stop being experiences and become expectations. The joy fades. You start taking them for granted. You stop fully appreciating them. You show up out of habit rather than genuine excitement. And then you wonder why they are not as satisfying as you expected. The fix? Build in scarcity. Make experiences rare enough that they stay novel. Treat them as special events, not regular occurrences. When you do have them, be fully present and savor them. Don't rush through them or take them for granted. This doesn't mean you can never have nice experiences. It means you should be strategic about when and how often. Quality over frequency. Memorable over routine. Tool 4. Spend money on other people. This one surprises people. Spending money on others makes you happier than spending it on yourself. Studies show this consistently. When people buy gifts for others or donate to causes, they report higher happiness than when they spend the same amount on themselves. This has been tested in multiple countries, across different income levels, with varying amounts of money. The pattern holds. Giving makes you happier than getting. Why? Several reasons. First, giving connects you to other people. When you buy someone a gift or help them out financially, you strengthen that relationship. They feel appreciated. You feel generous. The social connection adds to your happiness in a way that buying something for yourself doesn't. Second, giving creates a sense of meaning and purpose. You're making a difference, even if it's small. You're contributing to something beyond yourself. That feels good in a deep way that material possessions can't match. Third, giving shifts your focus outward. Instead of thinking about what you lack or what you want, you're thinking about how to help someone else. That perspective shift alone can improve your mood. Fourth, giving doesn't trigger adaptation the way spending on yourself does. You don't get used to helping others. Each act of giving can feel fresh and meaningful. Whereas buying another thing for yourself just raises your baseline expectations. The amount doesn't matter as much as you'd think. A small gift works. A modest charitable donation works. What matters is the act of giving itself, not the dollar amount. In fact, research shows that giving away just $5 can produce the same happiness boost as giving away $50. There's a point of diminishing returns. More money doesn't equal proportionally more happiness when it comes to giving. What does matter is how you give. Anonymous donations feel different than personal gifts. Giving to causes you care about feels different than giving to random charities. Giving to people you know feels different than giving to strangers. You'll get the most happiness from giving when it feels personal and meaningful to you. When there's a connection between you and the recipient or the cause. When you can see or imagine the impact of your gift. Here's how to use this. Next time you get a bonus, a tax refund, or have extra money, spend a portion of it on someone else before spending on yourself. It could be a gift for a friend. A donation to a cause you care about. Paying for someone's coffee. buying supplies for a local school, sponsoring someone in need. The options are endless. The key is to make it intentional. Don't just buy something for yourself and feel guilty about not giving. Decide in advance that part of the money goes to someone else. Make it a priority, not an afterthought. Here's the 7-day experiment for this tool. Spend money on someone else 3 times this week. Keep the amounts small, $5 to $20 each or the equivalent in your currency. Don't make it a big production. Just do it. It could be buying lunch for a colleague, tipping extra generously, donating to a local charity, buying a small gift for someone you appreciate, sending money to a friend who's struggling, paying for a stranger's groceries. After each time, notice how you feel compared to when you buy something for yourself. Most people are surprised by how good it feels. The common failure mode is overthinking it. You spend so much time trying to find the perfect gift or the perfect cause that you never actually do it. You research charities for hours. You agonize over what to get someone. You talk yourself out of it because you're not sure it's the right move. The fix? Keep it simple and fast. Small acts of giving count. You don't need a grand gesture. You don't need to solve someone's problems. You just need to do something kind with your money. Another common failure mode is expecting gratitude or recognition. If you give in order to feel appreciated or to look good, it won't work as well. The happiness from giving comes from the act itself, not from external validation. Give because you want to help, not because you want credit. Give anonymously sometimes. Give without telling anyone. That's when you'll feel the purest form of happiness from it. Tool 5. Buy yourself more free time. Most people spend the majority of their day working, commuting, doing things they have to do, not things they want to do. And here's what research shows. People who spend most of their time working and trying to earn more money tend to enjoy their lives less. People who have more free time for themselves report enjoying life much more, even if they earn less. This makes sense when you think about it. Happiness comes from doing things you choose to do, not things you're forced to do. Working is forced. You need the money. You have obligations. Even if you like your job, you're still constrained by it. Free time is different. You can do whatever you want. Rest. Pursue hobbies. Spend time with people you care about. Work on personal projects. The voluntary nature of it makes it more satisfying. This is because doing something voluntarily, because you enjoy it, increases happiness while avoiding adaptation effects. You don't get used to having a hobby you love. You don't adapt to spending time with friends and family. These activities remain satisfying over time. Work, on the other hand, involves adaptation. You get used to your job. The initial excitement fades. It becomes routine. And the more time you spend working, the less time you have for activities that bring genuine joy. So if you have the option to reduce your working hours and still cover your needs with less money, this can be a strong investment in your day-to-day happiness. Think about it as a trade-off. You could work 50 hours per week and make more money. Or you could work 40 hours and make less but have 10 extra hours for yourself. In many cases, those 10 hours of free time will bring more happiness than the extra money. Whether it's gardening, playing sports, working on a creative project, learning something new, or just reading a book, voluntary activities bring sustained joy. You look forward to them. They energize you. They make life feel worth living. Now, this doesn't necessarily apply to everyone. Some people derive deep meaning and purpose from their work. If you genuinely love what you do, if your job fulfills you and aligns with your values, then working more might actually increase your happiness. But be honest with yourself. Most people don't love their jobs that much. Most people work primarily for money, not for meaning. If that's you, trading time for money past a certain point is a bad deal. And many people don't even know what hobbies would make them happier. They've spent so long working that they've forgotten what they enjoy outside of work. If that's you, you'll need to experiment. Try different activities. See what resonates. It might take time to figure out what brings you joy, but it's worth the effort. Here's the 7-day experiment. Identify 1 hour per week you could reclaim from work or work-related activities. It could be skipping an optional meeting, delegating a task, saying no to extra projects, Working slightly shorter hours. Cutting out part of your commute by leaving earlier or later. Find that hour and protect it. Use it for something you choose voluntarily. A hobby. Rest. Exercise. Time with people you care about. Reading. Anything that feels like free time rather than obligation. Track whether that hour brings more happiness than the money you might have earned during it. For most people, it will. And once you see that, you can start reclaiming more time. The common failure mode is guilt. You feel like you should be working more, earning more, being more productive. That guilt kills the benefit of free time. You spend the hour worrying about what you're not doing instead of enjoying what you are doing. The fix? Reframe it. You're not being lazy. You're investing in the one resource you can never get back, which is time. Your future self will thank you for protecting it now. You only get one life. Spending all of it working and earning money you don't need to be happy is a waste. At some point, you have to ask yourself what you're working for. If the answer is just more money, even though you're past the happiness threshold, you're on the wrong path. Another common failure mode is filling free time with obligations. You reclaim an hour from work, then fill it with errands, chores, and responsibilities. That's not free time. That's just a different kind of work. Real free time is time you use for yourself. For rest. For joy. For things that energize you rather than drain you. Protect it from encroachment. Say no to requests that would consume it. Treat it as non-negotiable. Recap. Let's recap what we've covered so far. Money absolutely buys happiness when you lack basic necessities or live with financial stress. Getting out of poverty or debt creates real, measurable improvements in well-being. Once you hit a certain income threshold, somewhere around $75,000 to $90,000 adjusted for location, inflation, and your local currency, more money stops improving your daily mood. You don't feel happier day to day. But it does continue to increase life evaluation. When you reflect on your life, higher income makes you feel more successful and satisfied with how things turned out. So there's a split between daily happiness and reflective satisfaction. Your happiness with your income depends heavily on how you compare to others around you. Social comparison drives much of your satisfaction or dissatisfaction. Making more than your peer group feels better than making less, regardless of the absolute amount. You'll always want more money because there's no upper limit and you adapt to every increase. Hedonic adaptation means every raise brings temporary happiness, then you adjust and want more. Lottery winners and people who get windfalls face a unique problem. They often raise their standards so high that they lose the ability to enjoy simple pleasures. What used to bring joy no longer does. Experiences bring more lasting joy than material purchases, but only if you keep them rare. Frequent luxury experiences become routine and lose their magic. Spending on others makes you happier than spending on yourself. Small acts of giving produce genuine happiness that doesn't fade with adaptation. And buying free time by working less can increase happiness more than earning more, especially if you're past the income threshold where extra money doesn't improve daily life. If you only do one thing from this audiobook, try the experience experiment. Schedule one rare, meaningful experience this week and notice how it feels compared to buying another thing. Quick recap, and remember, the toolkit is there so you can revisit this without rewinding. Now let's get into the deeper tools that help you optimize money for happiness. Tool 6. Minimize what makes you unhappy. Most people focus on adding things that might make them happy. Nicer stuff. Better experiences. More money. But there's another approach that's often more effective. Remove the things that make you unhappy. This sounds obvious, but most people don't do it. They tolerate sources of misery as if they are inevitable. They accept daily frustrations as just part of life. They don't consider that money could solve them. You probably already know what you dislike. What drains your energy? What makes you miserable on a regular basis? The question is whether you're using your money to minimize exposure to those things. Research shows that reducing negative experiences has a bigger impact on happiness than adding positive ones. Getting rid of a daily annoyance improves your mood more than buying something nice. Think about it. If something irritates you every single day, removing it changes how you feel every single day. That's hundreds of days per year where you're less stressed and frustrated. Whereas buying something nice gives you a temporary boost, then you adapt. So the daily reduction in negativity compounds better than the one-time addition of positivity. Let me give you two examples that research supports. Noise and commuting. Both are proven sources of unhappiness that you can often reduce with money. First, noise. Living in a noisy environment is something you never truly adapt to, especially if the noise varies and comes in waves. If you live next to a busy street with constant traffic, sirens, honking, that noise continuously disrupts your peace. You might think you get used to it. You might not consciously notice it all the time. But studies show your stress levels remain elevated. Your sleep quality suffers. Your ability to concentrate decreases. The noise affects you even when you're not aware of it. This is different from adaptation to good things. With good things, you consciously stop noticing them. With noise, your body continues to react to it even if your conscious mind tunes it out. If possible, move somewhere quieter. Look for a place away from busy roads, airports, train tracks, construction zones. Prioritize quiet when choosing where to live. It will affect your happiness every single day. If moving isn't an option, buy high-quality noise-canceling headphones. Invest in soundproofing. Add heavy curtains. Install better windows. Seal gaps in walls and doors. Create a quiet space in your home where you can retreat. These solutions cost money, but they are worth it. Reducing noise will likely improve your daily happiness more than spending that same money on something new that you'll adapt to anyway. Second example, commuting. Most commutes involve heavy traffic, crowded trains, or long drives. Studies consistently show that commuting, especially long commutes with unpredictable traffic, increases stress and decreases happiness. Every minute added to your commute reduces life satisfaction. People with our long commutes report significantly lower happiness than people with 15-minute commutes. The time adds up. The stress accumulates. The unpredictability creates anxiety. And you don't adapt to it. Unlike a nice car that becomes normal, a bad commute stays bad. Every day it drains you. Every traffic jam frustrates you. Every delay stresses you out. If possible, live closer to where you work. Pay more for a shorter commute. It's worth it. The time you save and the stress you avoid will improve your daily life in measurable ways. If you can't move, negotiate remote work options. Even working from home 1 or 2 days per week reduces your commute time significantly. Or adjust your work hours to avoid rush hour. Come in earlier or later. The roads are clearer and the commute is faster and less stressful. Any of these changes will likely improve your daily mood more than a salary increase that requires a longer commute. Trading money for time and reduce stress is almost always a good deal once you pass the income threshold. The pattern here is simple. Identify ongoing sources of unhappiness in your life and see if you can use money to reduce or eliminate them. What makes you stressed every day? What annoys you regularly? What drains your energy? Make a list. Then brainstorm ways money could help. Maybe it's clutter. Hire someone to help you organize or donate things. Maybe it's cleaning. Pay for a cleaning service. Maybe it's cooking. Get meal delivery or prep services. Maybe it's repairs around the house. Hire professionals instead of doing it yourself. Whatever it is, see if money can solve it or reduce it. Often it can. And often the cost is worth it. Here's the 7-day experiment for this tool. Write down 3 things that regularly make you unhappy or stressed. For each one, brainstorm at least one way you could use money to reduce it. You don't have to spend the money yet. Just identify possible solutions and estimate costs. Then pick the one with the best cost-to-happiness ratio and commit to trying it within the next month. Schedule it. Budget for it. Make it real. Most people will find that investing in reducing unhappiness gives better returns than investing in adding happiness. The common failure mode is accepting misery as inevitable. You tell yourself that's just how life is. Everyone deals with traffic. Everyone lives with noise. So you never even consider that money could solve it. The fix? Question your defaults. Most sources of daily unhappiness can be reduced with money. The question is whether the cost is worth it. Run the numbers. Compare the price to the daily improvement in mood. Often it's a bargain. Another common failure mode is feeling guilty about spending money on comfort. You think it's wasteful or indulgent. You tell yourself you should just tough it out. But if reducing a source of unhappiness genuinely improves your daily life, it's not wasteful. It's an investment in your well-being. There's nothing virtuous about suffering unnecessarily. Tool 7. Understand your personal threshold. Remember that $75,000 number? It's an average. Your personal threshold might be different. Some people feel financially comfortable at $40,000. Others need $100,000. It depends on where you live, your lifestyle, your obligations, and your personality. Someone with kids will have a higher threshold than someone living alone. Someone with medical expenses will need more than someone who's healthy. Someone in an expensive city will need more than someone in a cheaper area. The key is to figure out your number. The point where additional income stops improving your day-to-day life. Once you know that, you can make better decisions about career trade-offs. Here's how to find it. Think about your current income. Now ask yourself, if I made 20% more, would my average day feel significantly better? Would I worry less? Would I have more freedom? Would daily stress decrease? Be specific. Don't think about life evaluation or how you'd feel about your success. Think about your actual daily experience. Your mood. Your stress levels. Your moment-to-moment feelings. If yes, you're below your threshold. More money would genuinely improve your daily happiness. You should probably focus on earning more if possible. If no, you're at or above it. Additional income won't change how you feel on a Tuesday afternoon. It might increase your life evaluation when you reflect on your success, but it won't make your daily experience better. This matters because once you're past the threshold, trading time for money becomes a bad deal. Working longer hours for a higher salary makes you less happy, not more. You'd be better off earning less and having more free time. You can also test this by looking at past raises. Think about the last time you got a significant salary increase. How long did the happiness last? A few weeks? A couple months? And how do you feel now compared to before the raise? If the answer is roughly the same, you've experienced adaptation firsthand. That tells you more money won't create lasting happiness improvements. Here's the 7-day experiment. Track your daily mood for 1 week. Each evening, rate your day from 1 to 10. Be honest. Don't overthink it. Just give a gut feeling number. Then ask yourself whether more money would have made today better. Would an extra $1,000 this month have changed today's rating? Walk through the day and identify specific moments. Would more money have improved any of them? Most people find that on most days, more money wouldn't have helped. The things that made the day good or bad weren't money related. They were about relationships, health, stress, meaning, and how they spent their time. If you find that most days wouldn't improve with more money, you're likely at or above your threshold. That's valuable information for career decisions. The common failure mode is confusing life evaluation with daily happiness. You think earning more will make you happier because it makes you feel more successful. But success and daily joy are different things. You can feel successful and still have stressful, unhappy days. Your career might be going great. You might be proud of what you've achieved. But if your daily experience is stressed and rushed and exhausting, you're not actually happy even though you're successful. The fix? Separate the two questions. Ask yourself, do I want more money because it will improve my daily life? Or because it will make me feel more successful when I reflect on my achievements? Both are valid goals. But they require different strategies. If you want daily happiness, focus on time, stress reduction, and meaningful activities. If you want life satisfaction, focus on achievement and financial security. You can pursue both. But knowing which one you're optimizing for helps you make better decisions. Tool 8. The Time Budget Framework. Here's a framework that changes how you think about money. Every financial decision is actually a time decision. When you buy something, you're not just spending money. You're spending the hours you had to work to earn that money. If you make $30 per hour and you buy something that costs $300, you're spending 10 hours of your life on that purchase. Suddenly the question changes. Is this item worth 10 hours of my time? Is it worth the 10 hours I could have spent doing something else? Sometimes yes. Sometimes definitely not. Let's say you're considering buying a new TV for $1,000. You make $40 per hour. That TV costs you 25 hours of work. Is watching TV on a slightly bigger screen worth 25 hours of your life? Maybe. Maybe not. But framing it this way forces you to think about the trade-off. It makes the cost real and tangible. Now layer in the opportunity cost. Those 25 hours could have been free time if you'd worked less. Or they could have funded experiences. Or donations. Or investments that buy you future time. Every hour you spent earning money for that TV is an hour you didn't spend on something else. Every purchase is a choice about how to spend your finite life energy. You only have so many hours on this planet. When you buy something, you're trading hours of your one life for that object. This reframe is powerful. Most people think about money as an abstract number. They see a price tag and think about whether they can afford it based on their bank balance. But when you think about it as hours of your life, the calculation changes. You start asking different questions. You start valuing your time differently. You start making better choices. Here's the tool. Before making any purchase over $100, convert the price into hours of your work. Calculate your true hourly rate. Take your annual income and divide by the total hours you work per year, including commute time. Most people forget about commute time. But you can't do anything else during it. It's work adjacent. It costs you time. Include it in the calculation. Once you have your hourly rate, use it for every purchase decision. Multiply the price by your hourly rate. That's how many hours of your life that item costs. Then ask yourself, is this purchase worth that many hours of my life? Would I rather have those hours back? If yes, buy it. If no, save your time. This works especially well for reducing impulse purchases. That nice jacket for $200? That's 5 hours of work. Do you want the jacket more than you want 5 hours of your life back? Sometimes you do. And that's fine. The point isn't to never buy anything. The point is to make conscious choices about what's worth your time. Here's the 7-day experiment. For the next week, calculate the time cost of every purchase you're considering. Keep a note on your phone with your hourly rate. Before buying anything, do the math. Write down the item, the price, and the time cost. Then notice how it changes your spending behavior. Most people find they buy less because the time frame makes the cost feel more real. The common failure mode is forgetting about this after a few days. Old spending habits take over and you stop doing the calculation. You see something you want and you buy it without thinking about the time cost. The fix? Make it automatic. Set your hourly rate as a reminder on your phone. Or write it on a card in your wallet. Keep it visible until the habit sticks. Better yet, involve someone else. Tell a friend or partner about this experiment. Show them your hourly rate. Ask them to check in with you about purchases. Social accountability helps habits stick. Another common failure mode is using your gross income instead of net. Your true hourly rate should be based on what you actually take home after taxes and deductions. Using gross income makes purchases seem cheaper than they really are. The fix? Do the math properly. Figure out your actual take-home pay per hour. It's lower than you think. And that makes every purchase more expensive in terms of time. Tool 9. The Regret Minimization Strategy. Here's a tool borrowed from major life decisions, but it works for money too. When deciding whether to spend money on something, imagine yourself at 80 years old looking back. Will you regret spending it? Or regret not spending it? This cuts through short-term thinking and emotional impulses. It forces you to consider what actually matters in the long run. For experiences with people you love, you'll almost never regret spending. A trip with your partner. A weekend with your kids. A dinner with old friends. Experiences that create memories and strengthen relationships. At 80, you'll wish you'd done more of this, not less. You'll remember the trip to Italy. You'll remember the concerts. You'll remember the quality time with people you cared about. You won't remember the price. You won't think it was wasteful. You'll think it was some of the best money you ever spent. 4 material purchases, especially expensive ones, you'll probably regret spending. That luxury car you bought at 35. The designer clothes you had to have. The bigger house you didn't really need. At 80, you'll likely think, what a waste of time and money. I spent years working to afford these things and they didn't make me happy. I could have worked less, lived smaller, and had more time for what mattered. Obviously, this doesn't apply to everything. Some material purchases are worth it. Reliable transportation. Safe housing. Tools that help you do meaningful work. Equipment for hobbies you love. These can be good investments. But the luxury versions? The status symbols? The things you buy to impress others or keep up with your peer group? Those you'll regret. Use this lens for decisions. If future you would be glad you spent the money, spend it. If future you would roll their eyes at the purchase, skip it. This works especially well for big decisions. Should you buy a house that stretches your budget? Should you lease a new car? Should you take an expensive vacation? Run it through the 80-year-old test. Will you look back and think that was a wise use of resources? Or will you think you wasted money and time on something that didn't matter? Here's the 7-day experiment. Pick one purchase you've been considering. Something significant. Not a coffee or a meal, but something that actually costs enough to matter. Close your eyes and imagine yourself at 80 years old. Make it vivid. Picture where you are, how you look, how you feel. Now from that vantage point, think about this purchase. Does it seem worthwhile? Does it add something meaningful to your life? Or does it seem silly, a waste of money you could have used better? Let the answer guide your decision. Don't override it with short-term desires. Trust your future self's perspective. The common failure mode is thinking short-term. You want the thing now. The immediate desire overrides long-term thinking. You know the 80-year-old version of you wouldn't care about this purchase, but you do it anyway because you want it today. The fix? Force the long-term view. Literally visualize your 80-year-old self. Make it vivid. Imagine them speaking to you. What would they tell you? Would they say go for it? Or would they say don't waste your money? Most of the time, when you honestly imagine your future self, the answer is clear. The challenge is listening to it instead of your present desires. Another common failure mode is using this tool only for big purchases. You carefully evaluate the expensive things but mindlessly spend on small things. Those small purchases add up. Death by 1,000 cuts. The fix? Use this framework for categories of spending, not just individual purchases. Do you want to be someone who spends money on expensive coffee every day? Will your 80-year-old self think that was a good use of thousands of dollars per year? Maybe yes. If it's a ritual you truly enjoy, a small pleasure that brings consistent joy, it might be worth it. But if it's just habit, something you do without thinking, your future self will probably wish you'd saved that money or spent it on something more meaningful. Tool 10. The prototype spending approach. Most people make big money decisions without testing them first. They buy an expensive gym membership without trying cheaper options. They commit to a big house without renting in the area first. They buy a car without extensively test driving similar models. They sign up for expensive subscriptions without trying free alternatives. This is backwards. Every major money decision should be prototyped. Test the smallest, cheapest version first. Collect data on whether it actually improves your life. Then adjust based on evidence. This approach prevents expensive mistakes. It also protects you from adaptation. When you prototype, you force yourself to start small and appreciate each level before upgrading. Want to start going to the gym? Don't buy an annual membership at the fancy place. Pay for a single month at the cheapest gym nearby. Or do home workouts for free first. Track how often you actually go. Track whether you enjoy it. Track whether it improves your life. After 30 days, you'll have real data about your behavior, not just intentions. If you go 3 times per week and love it, then consider upgrading. If you go once per week and find it boring, you just saved yourself from wasting money on a long-term commitment. Thinking about moving to a bigger place? Rent an Airbnb in that neighborhood for a weekend. See how it actually feels to be there. Talk to people who live there. Walk around at different times of day. You might discover the neighborhood is louder than you thought. or the commute is worse, or there's not much to do. Better to learn this through a cheap test than by signing a lease or buying a property. Considering a hobby that requires expensive equipment? Borrow or rent first. Try it for a month. See if you actually stick with it or if the initial excitement fades. Most people buy expensive equipment for hobbies they abandon after a few weeks. The golf clubs collect dust. The camera sits unused. The musical instrument becomes decoration. Prototyping prevents this. You find out whether the hobby has staying power before investing serious money. This approach also works for lifestyle upgrades. Want to see if a nicer car would make you happier? Rent one for a week. Actually drive it around and see how it feels. You might find that the novelty wears off quickly and it's not worth the cost. Want to see if eating out more would improve your life? Try it for a month. Track how it makes you feel. Notice whether the convenience is worth the money or whether you start taking it for granted. The principle is simple. Before spending more than $500 on anything new to you, find a way to test a cheaper version first. Use it for at least 2 weeks. Collect data on how much value it actually provides. Only upgrade if the data supports it. Here's the 7-day experiment. Identify one purchase you've been planning that costs over $500. It could be equipment, a service, a lifestyle upgrade, anything significant. Find a prototype version you can test for under $50. Rent it, borrow it, or buy the cheapest version. If you can't find a way to test it cheaply, that's a red flag. It might not be worth buying at all. Use the prototype for 1 week and track whether it actually improves your life. Be honest. Don't just track whether you like it. Track whether it makes a difference. After the week, decide whether to proceed with the full purchase, stick with the cheaper version, or abandon the idea entirely. The common failure mode is impatience. You want the best version now. Prototyping feels slow and annoying. You don't want to wait. You don't want to test. You just want to buy the thing. The fix? Reframe it as collecting evidence. You're not delaying gratification. You're making sure you actually want it. You're protecting yourself from expensive mistakes and future regret. Most of the time, the prototype either satisfies you completely or reveals that you didn't want it as much as you thought. Either way, you save money and avoid buyer's remorse. Another common failure mode is half-committed testing. You try the cheap version but you're already convinced it's inferior. You don't give it a fair shot. So of course it disappoints you and you upgrade. The fix? Commit to the prototype fully. Pretend it's the only option. Use it as if you're not planning to upgrade. That way you get real data about whether it meets your needs, not just confirmation that you want something better. The 7-day Rewire Plan. Now let's bring this together with a specific plan you can follow. This is exactly what the toolkit is for. So keep listening now, then use the checklist later when you're at your desk. Day 1, 10 minutes. Calculate your hourly rate including commute time. Divide your annual take-home pay by your total hours worked including commuting. Write this number on a card and put it in your wallet. This is your money-to-time conversion tool. You'll use it all week. Day 2, 15 minutes. List 3 ongoing sources of unhappiness in your life. Things that stress you out regularly. For each one, brainstorm at least one way money could reduce or eliminate it. Could be noise, commute, clutter, chores, anything that drains you. Write down potential solutions and rough costs. Day 3, 20 minutes. Schedule one rare experience for this week. Something under $100 that you'd enjoy but don't do often. Could be a nice dinner, a day trip, a show, a class, anything experimental. Put it on your calendar with a specific day and time. Commit to it. Day 4, 10 minutes. Spend money on someone else today. A small gift for a friend. A donation to a cause you care about. Lunch for a colleague. Extra tip for service. Keep it simple, $5 to $20. Notice how it feels compared to spending on yourself. Day 5, throughout the day. Before any purchase today, convert the price to hours using your hourly rate from day 1. Ask yourself if it's worth that much of your life. Track what you decide not to buy because of this. Write down at least one purchase you skip. Day 6, 15 minutes. Evaluate whether you're above or below your income threshold. Think about your current income. Would 20% more genuinely improve your daily life? Would most of your days feel better? Be ruthlessly honest. Write down your conclusion and what it means for your career decisions. Day 7, 10 minutes. Review the week. Which tool had the biggest impact on how you think about money? Which experiment changed your behavior the most? Make a specific plan to use that tool consistently going forward. Write down one concrete action you'll take in the next month. That's your 7 days. 7 small experiments that reshape how you relate to money. And here's the 2-minute version you can try right now. Calculate your hourly rate. Before your next purchase, convert the price to hours of your life. Ask yourself, is this worth that much of my time? Let the answer guide you. That's it. One simple shift that changes everything. You start seeing money as life energy instead of an abstract number. And that changes what you choose to buy and what you choose to skip. Closing. 3 things to remember. 1. Money buys happiness up to a threshold. After that, how you spend it matters more than how much you make. Focus on experiences, giving, free time, and reducing sources of unhappiness rather than accumulating more stuff. 2. Adaptation kills joy from material purchases. You get used to everything you buy. But experiences, giving, and free time resist adaptation better. They keep bringing happiness over time. 3. Use money to minimize unhappiness, not just maximize pleasure. Remove noise, reduce commuting, eliminate ongoing sources of stress. Reducing negatives compounds better than adding positives. Here's your concrete next step for today. Calculate your hourly rate right now. Take 2 minutes. Figure out what you actually earn per hour including commute time. Write it down somewhere you'll see it often. Then use it before your next purchase. Convert the price to hours. Ask if it's worth it. That's the entry point to everything else in this audiobook. Thank you for listening. Subscribe, like, and turn on the notification bell. And check out the free toolkit in the description so you don't have to take notes. And share this with one friend who is stuck on the money treadmill, constantly chasing the next raise but never feeling satisfied. Once they understand how money actually works with happiness, they'll stop burning themselves out for diminishing returns. They'll make better choices about time, money, and what actually matters.